this process. So we should give them a warm welcome. Thank you. Chuy Garcia will be here today. He's running late. But just to kind of give you some updates about the Planning Coalition, last week we had a town hall about eminent domain. What we've decided to do is make sure that we continue that conversation as that process goes through and continue to fight to make sure that we are at the table as that process goes through. The other things is, if you don't know, we do have a farmer's market that's going on as we speak on 75th Street at the Quarry. Moving forward, this particular Saturday is the last Saturday that we're going to have exchange for the rest of the year until January. In January, we will have candidate forums as well as exchange ideas. Every other week, about the second week in January, we're going to have candidate forums for 5th, 7th, and 8th Ward. So be prepared with your questions, pay attention to the issues as we begin to move forward into one of the hottest aldermanic and mayor elections. With no further ado, after Mr. Garcia is up, we're going to allow the floor for announcements for other things that are going on in the community. Is that okay with everyone?
Yes.
Okay. So we would like to turn this over to Garcia.
Yes.
My name is Bea Lumpkin. I have one of your very good friends. His name is Eliud Medina. He is one of the reasons why I organized. So he told me we're a good guy and we should have you as soon as possible. So I'm going to turn you over, but I'll allow the young people to introduce you first, if you're okay. Who's speaking? They run it.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
That was slow. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
All right, my name is Ava St. Clair, and I'm a resident of South Shore. I've been here for about 7 years, next month my anniversary. I love it here. It's a wonderful neighborhood, and I've been doing a lot of work with Mr. Flory, Charles Kyle as well, in urban planning, development, and business education. Today I had this great speech that I memorized from Mr. Garcia, but I'm way too nervous to do it, so I'm actually going to read it off of my phone if you all don't mind. I know I look kind of old, but I'm still really at heart, so I like to say So, Mr. Jesus-Chuy Garcia is a dynamic and progressive leader who has spoken to thought to improve the lives of persons residing in the southwest side of Chicago and the neighboring Cicero community. Since immigrating with his parents from Durango, Mexico at the age of 10, Garcia has lived in the communities of Pilsen and Little Village. After earning a BA in political science from the University of Illinois at Chicago, he went on to acquire a master's degree in urban planning. Advocacy of justice and equal opportunity led him to work as a paralegal, a community organizer, and at a community-based housing organization. After leaving the Senate, he founded Enlace Chicago, a leading nonprofit community development organization in Little Village. He was granted a fellowship from DePaul University, and he taught courses in political science as an adjunct professor at his alma mater. In 2010, Garcia decided to return to elected office and successfully ran for Cook County Commissioner of the 7th District. As such, he is committed to improving county government by advocating for the most vulnerable, increasing transparency, and being a good steward of public resources. In 2011, he championed an ordinance that made Cook County the first local government entity in the United States to end compliance with immigration and customs enforcement detainer requests. This ordinance protects the county from the liability associated with ICE detainers and prevents unconstitutional detentions without probable cause and has been replicated by jurisdictions throughout the nation. Earlier this year, Garcia secured passage of an amendment to the Cook County Human Rights Ordinance to extend protections to individuals with housing choice vouchers against discrimination based on source of income, thereby providing the same access to safe, decent, and affordable housing to everyone equally, including veterans, the disabled, single-parent heads of household, and senior citizens. And he procured the approval of the protection of minors ordinance to keep children safe from loaded firearms in the home. Jesus-Chuy Garcia serves as Cook County President, Tony Brook's floor leader. He is the chairman of the Real Estate and Business and Economic Development Committee, as well as vice chairman of the Finance, Labor, and Workforce Development and Training Opportunities Committees. Garcia has served on the boards of several nonprofit organizations, including the Latino Policy Forum, a public policy and advocacy center, of which he is the founding president, and as chairman of the Woods Fund of Chicago, whose goal is to increase opportunities for less advantaged people and communities. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Mr. Jesus-Chuy Garcia.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I am just delighted to be here today. This looks like a great restaurant, first of all.
It is.
Let's make sure we all come back here time and time again and become regulars, right?
Yes.
So I'm delighted to be in South Shore this afternoon with all the community builders that are gathered here today, because I can tell you're all community builders. As I scan the room, I see a lot of experience, I see fighting spirit, I see vision, and I see audacity. People who want to transform their community to make it a safe place, a more beautiful place, a healthy place, a place that has hope and a future. And I've got to tell you this morning, since you already read my bio, know more about me than I know, I think after hearing that, I wouldn't have spoken. But I have to tell you, the reason that I decided to become candidate for mayor a little bit over 2 weeks ago is quite simple. I believe that neighborhood builders are the experts on what goes on locally in their neighborhood. They know what's wrong with the neighborhood. They know what's right with the neighborhood. More importantly, they know what needs to be done to make it a better place for everyone. So my primary identity in life is not that of a politician, is not that of an elected official, though I take pride in that. It's being and having credentials of being a community builder. That's what I've dedicated my life to. So you may be asking yourself, if you're a community builder, why would you want to be mayor of the city of Chicago? Precisely for that reason. Because I think that the present administration has gotten away from community building, has strayed away from understanding the role of neighborhoods in improving the quality of life. We've ceased investing in what matters most in Chicago. People in Chicago, regardless of where you live, whether it's South Chicago, South Shore, the West Side, Rogers Park, or Jefferson Park, it's about neighborhoods. And the neighborhoods have ceased to be a top priority of this administration, and we quickly need to change course in the city of Chicago to begin placing neighborhoods at the center of everything that is the city of Chicago. I am particularly troubled by the fact that the focus over the past 4 years seems to be primarily on downtown Chicago, taking too much of our valuable resources in communities in terms of property tax levies and investing them in places that sometimes don't need it, oftentimes don't need it. Tax revenue ought to be transparent, and it ought to be utilized where it is needed the most. Neighborhoods that have been left behind for too long. That would be my priority. You know, one of the things that I learned from my mentor, the late Harold Washington, in terms of governing the city of Chicago, is that the neighborhoods need to be placed first, and that the destiny of neighborhoods everywhere in the city of Chicago needs to be tied to the destiny of the city center. Stated differently, if the city center, the downtown, which has been booming and looks more beautiful than ever before, is doing well, there ought to be prosperity in the neighborhoods across the city of Chicago. That's my simple platform. Let me tell you why I say that. Because all of my adult life, I have spent it working in neighborhoods. Primarily in Pilsen and Little Village, but I have developed relationships across this town with community builders like many of those gathered here today. People who care about the basic things in the neighborhood. Community safety, opportunity or lack thereof for young people to be engaged in positive activities, in constructive things, learning, developing, creating, developing arts programs, things that are interesting and valuable to young people and to families. Making neighborhoods a better place for families is what I'm all about. Whether it's children, whether it's adolescents, whether it's parents or senior citizens, we need to be mindful of everyone, and that's the simple agenda that I want to bring to City Hall. Now, how are we going to do it? By banding together. Okay? I see a greater disposition in neighborhoods all over the city of Chicago to come to get together, recognizing that we all depend on each other. You cannot have a great city without great neighborhoods. I think that's what the planning committee here in South Shore is all about, right? There is an interconnectedness in all of us. You can't have a good neighborhood and then have a neighboring neighborhood be a bad neighborhood, because that means all neighborhoods are going to be bad. You can't have one safe area in the city without endangering every area in the city. That means we need to be fair. That means we need to have equity, and we need to proceed investing equitably in everything that we do in the city of Chicago. Let's talk a little bit about safety. Is there crime in South Shore? Is there crime in South Chicago?
Yes.
There's crime on the west side where I live. There's crime on the north side too. It is high time that we begin to look at the experts in Chicago and that we begin to tap them. We need a police superintendent who is Chicago native, right? Yeah. Understand the importance of things like developing trust and relationships, having policemen and women walk the beat, get familiar with people who live on the block, the people who run the restaurant, the people who work in the grocery store, with everyone who is an essential part of the community. What happened to community policing? It's been shelved. It's been given up on. We brought a guy in from New Jersey or New York. I'm not sure what the difference is, but you can't have a police superintendent heading up the city unless he or she understands the neighborhood, unless he or she is committed to developing trust and relationships, because the people who know most about communities, the people who know the good people and the people who know the bad people, are neighborhood residents. So I'm going to pause here. I simply want to tell you this. People are coming together like never before, across race, across geography, across faith, understanding that we're all human beings, understanding that we all want the same thing for the city of Chicago. We want peace, we want tranquility, we want jobs, especially for people who haven't been able to work in a long time. People are hurting all over Chicago, and understand that this is the time to reach out. This is the time to band with others. This is the time to take Chicago back and make it our city, one city. Taking Chicago back, 2015 offers that opportunity, and that's why I submitted my candidacy for mayor of the city of Chicago. Thank you very much.
Okay. If you've ever been to any of our forums, you know we normally pass out note cards, and the questions are wrote on note cards, and they'll be moderated and we filter through the questions. But to keep it more organic today, what we're going to do, we're going to actually just have you stand, state your name, and then state the question that you have. And please make sure that the questions are short and trite, so don't get up and talk for 10, 15 minutes, because I will have to cut you off. State your name.
My name is Paul Kendrick, and when you get Chuy's bio, you left off something. Chuy worked on the board of directors for the Jazz Institute of Chicago, and he was on the educational committee, and he helped start the Jazz Link Educational